And welcome to the show and tell. What is this, Lady Ada?
Hey, everybody, and welcome to a full hour of show and tell. This is the number one, best, most exciting, most interesting live show and tell on the internet. I'm just going to say it, and then people can argue with me later.
Yeah. This is truth.
Truth.
We've been doing this for about a decade, and
we've even expanded it.
We expanded it to an hour. We're going to keep doing this. Last week, Lady Ada was on. She was asked to be part of the New York City Council.
Yes.
And the meetings came up on every Wednesday. So thank you, Adafruit team, who helped run the show and tell while we're out this week, because New York is going through phase one, restart and reopening. We don't have a city council meeting this week. We're back next week, but it looks like it's not going to be the exact same time as show and tell. So continue to work on your projects, show and share your projects. We said it 100 plus days ago. This is the time to come together. It matters more so than ever. We have pandemics, we have social justice, we have all the things that we need to do, and this is the community and the group of people that can get that done. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce David from Digi-Key. We got David on here first because we have partnerships with Digi-Key, and I also, before we have David on, I also want to say thank you to David and thank you to everyone at Digi-Key. There's a lot of stuff that Adafruit needed to do over the last 100 plus days, and Digi-Key was a great partner, a great friend, and a great company. And a lot of people were able to continue all their projects because they were able to get Adafruit stuff from Digi-Key. So when you all have a choice out there, if you're not buying stuff from Adafruit, of course, make an account, get stuff on Digi-Key. And we say that because they're not only a great company, but they're a fantastic group of people. So David, how are you?
I'm doing just fine. Sorry, Kevin couldn't make it this week. And thanks for that wonderful introduction. I mean, honestly, with a partner like Adafruit, it makes it very easy. We love supporting your technology. We love what you bring forth to the market. And, actually for us, it's just awesome to be part of this whole organization, being able to help you guys out in this tough time. So we're really glad that we helped out. And, in the future, we look forward to more and more partnerships. So.
All right. So what are you cooking this week?
Well, 2 weeks ago, Kevin was on and he talked with John Park, and John said, do you have any new drone footage pictures of our PDCE, our new warehouse that we're putting together in Thief River Falls? And so I know Kevin has shared some stuff to date, but now we have color schemes and painting, and you can see trucks in this facility. We've talked a little bit about the size of the facility, the fact that you could put the Empire State Building in diagonally into it. But just to give you some perspective of it, we actually, if you take a look at the amount of concrete that's used in this project, it could fill up over 7,700 trucks, 16,400 tons of steel, which is twice the Eiffel Tower. So it's a pretty big project out there. In the inside itself, you could fit 22 football fields. We're going to have about 27 miles of conveyor belts. And the average order is going to go around 3,200 feet inside the facility. So it's pretty neat. And, it's one of those things where if you ever get a chance to get out to Thief River Falls, we'd love to show you guys around as much as we can. One thing that's kind of interesting is if you take a look at this picture, there's a catwalk on the right-hand side there. And yeah, that hooks up to both buildings, the old building and the new building.
Oh, cool.
And it's not only for people, but there's also a whole level of conveyor belts on the bottom for product. So that's how we go back and forth. And I know that you guys have heard of some of the things we've been doing as well, given the COVID-19 activities. Well, obviously we are taking it extremely seriously. We're in a remote location, but more than anything, we obviously follow the guidelines for mask usage and PPE, and we've got strict social distancing. We actually have this thing that we call Take 5 to sanitize every 2 hours. So we sanitize all the workplaces. I think Kevin's talked maybe before about the cooler and the fogger, this fogger sanitizer that we've created. But we do a lot of other things as well besides temp checks and everything else. Some of the stuff we've done, which is kind of unique and different, is we created this UVC, the ultraviolet germicidal irradiation tunnel. And we have 8,000 totes that go through our facility on a daily basis. There were a lot of engineering challenges trying to make sure that we have enough, putting something out there that we could kill a lot of the pathogen, the microorganisms that are created with this. And we put a team of 6 engineers on this. We've solved the math and the science in about 3 days. This tunnel that you're looking at is actually 2.5 feet tall. It's about 2 feet wide, 15 feet long. And we've got sensors that are on there and timers to prolong the life of the bulbs. So, each bulb should last about 9,000 hours or 330 days. And we take about 80% of our totes will go through this every day. One thing that's kind of neat and what we're doing in this time period is not only did we create this and the fogger cooler that Kevin talked about before, but we're also making those all open source to other members of our community and other distributor type locations. So we've made it available to companies such as Amazon. We made it available to other distributors in the electronic component industry, creating it completely open source. Want to make sure that we put things out there. So kind of unique and different. Another thing that we created is we worked with the University of Minnesota for a very rudimentary ventilator. And what this does is it uses a resuscitator that you kind of see, a manual resuscitator, but it's kind of a MacGyvered approach. And this was approved by the FDA. So we're working with them to create hundreds and thousands of these things, get them out there. And it's a very kind of neat project that enabled us to get a solution for a problem that's obviously global right now. So just some cool things that we're doing at the company.
Right on.
Nice.
I did want to mention how pleased we are about some of the new partnerships we're doing with you guys. So, we have this new great search activity, and we have also the Ion NPI, which will be on later on tonight, and I know. And why this is so important is because we know at Digi-Key, we got 2.5 million SKUs in stock, 10 million on our website. It is literally impossible to stay on the front end of how do I find a part? What are the newest parts that are out there? With 800 suppliers, each of them having new products every month, it is a challenge. And these two activities, we have seen not only such positive results from your community, but from our supplier community wanting to be a part of these things, understanding how important it is. And we just wanted to say that these are the types of things that we really appreciate the team at Adafruit, Lady Ada, Phil, yourself, putting these things together, because it really creates this very unique infrastructure that enables our mutual customers to find the right solutions. So very cool on these things, and we're excited about all these projects.
Yeah, we're gonna get back to the great search soon. I have a queue of like 3 or 4 that we're gonna be doing.
Yeah, one other thing that just a heads up for everyone, if you really like we called it Ion NPI, new product introduction. If you really like new products and kind of the latest and greatest, and then have an engineer like Lady Ada show you not only how to find it on Digi-Key, but then how to actually design things with it. One side effect that we've seen is, so Lamore will be designing something. She's like, okay, great. Now I'm going to go purchase the parts. Someone, because they're like, oh, this is a part I really need. This is really good. They'll go in and they'll buy a bunch.
They swoop
and that's fine. And that was like one of the first times we saw, we're like, oh, this is a really good idea because it's helping engineers find exactly what they're looking for. The only thing though is we're going to make sure we get our components before someone comes in and swoops.
I've learned my lesson.
And swoops in. But that's how real time this is. If you think about what matters in technology, you have to be this fast now. So anyways, it's a good series, and we have Ion NPI tonight. And then of course, if you haven't listened to the full song, we have an extended version of the song too.
Well, and actually, I think we can hook you up with those products, Lady Ada, if you need them. we know where to get them.
They came back in stock immediately. It was just really fun though. We're like, wow, this is kind of the future where you're doing engineering live and you're buying the parts live. You're showing engineers how to get their product to market, but you also have to know that if you show folks, they'll probably want to click and purchase. So that was awesome. All right, you guys
absolutely. Yeah, the only other things I just wanted to mention, if you guys are at home and you're looking for different activities to participate in, we've got a couple different projects. We have one called Operation Design a Mask, which is kind of neat. It's a little bit more in the education space, but we wanted to have something out there that people could look at. But we're doing an awful lot with Supply Frame and the Hackaday community. So we do have this whole making tech at home contest up on the Hackaday.io website. What's cool about this is you can actually win Adafruit products as a result of this. So if you guys have some ideas, you want to play around with some technology, you want to win some cool Adafruit products, come on by, take a look at it. And obviously the prize, the Hackaday prize, is announced this year as well. So we're excited that that contest has started. But by all means, if you want to play around with some great Adafruit products and you have some ideas, come and stop by the challenges.
Yay. Okay, cool.
All right. Well, thank you so much, David. You're always welcome back. I know I'll drop a note to Kevin, but please keep us updated on things that are going on Digi-Key, all the efforts that you're doing. And once again, thank you so much for supporting this cool community of engineers and makers.
Oh, it's our pleasure. We love it. Thanks for letting us do it.
Yay. Thanks, David.
Okay.
Good to see you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right. Okay. Next up, we're going to go to JP and JP's screen. JP, what you got going on this week?
Hey, all right. Well, so this week I've got a new guide that just came out. It came out today, and it is on building the CircuitPython variant of this little mechanical keyboard keypad. So this is based on a Pymaroni kit, which we sell, and I think you can get it on Digi-Key and other places, Pymaroni, which is essentially a Raspberry Pi bonnet. And so normally it comes with a little Raspberry Pi Zero that you'd plug that into. But that also means that when you steal your SD card out of there for something else like I did, you're then sad that you can't use it anymore. So I decided rather than find an SD card, I would build a whole new project. And so I went ahead and created a itsy bitsy M4 version that uses CircuitPython. And I built this adapter, and that's the guide. We'll show you how to build this adapter. And there's a bit of intricate wiring that goes on there to adapt your itsy bitsy pinouts to the pinouts for using the dot stars that are on here, as well as reading the switches. And then one addition, this is kind of late breaking news. It's not in the guide yet, but I decided to go ahead and design a PCB for this inside of Eagle. And so I just got these in, and I've actually swapped it out now. So now inside of here, I have my cool little PCB that I made and got Osh Park to create a few of them for me pretty quickly.
Like the After Dark style, because it's like
the After Dark style. Yeah, it's really stylish looking, and it has no solder mask, so you can see the copper real nicely.
Yeah.
And that has worked out really well. Allows you to just solder in the itsy bitsy with some regular header pins, as well as a Raspberry Pi 2x20, and then it adapts it. So that is my project that I just finished up. And I also wanted to give a tease for the project that I'm working on now, which will be on my show tomorrow. So you can close my small screen or my overhead there. So I've got one of our 64 by 32 pixel LED matrix displays with a Feather M4 plugged into it, and I'm just starting to play around with different graphics effects for doing a protest sign. So this is going to be a portable protest sign that lights up at night. Lamore and Phil said that they were at some nighttime protests, and you just couldn't see people's signs. So we decided to try to remedy this.
the brightest sign.
And have your very, very bright sign. This is using also some of our some LED plastic that I got from Tap Plastics, and it really helps a lot. You can see in the upper corner here, there's some bare ones just because of.
And let me just say, best of all, if you want to update your message on the fly, it was always really hard to have whatever message you want, put it on an LED screen or any type of light up screen, and then be mobile, and then you might have to put different information on it. There might be other updated things that you want to get your message out about. So we're using Python, and that means you can edit it with anything that can just basically edit a text file. So
that's right. That's right. Yeah, it's very simple. And in this version, it's literally dragging BMP files into the drive of the Feather, which is back there. That's the little Feather that's running it all. So I'm playing around with that using Slideshow. I'll give a bunch of details tomorrow. Also, I got my daughter to design this graphic for me, the Black Lives Matter one with the fist. I thought she did a beautiful job. I showed her some pixel art software on the web, Piskel.com, I think it is. She went to town and made me that graphic. So I'm very proud of her and excited that we could do something positive towards social change. So that's.
Yeah, I hope you're a cool dad now.
Yeah. And we'll continue to do this. Someone in the chat said, make an e-paper protest sign. There's also e-ink ones, really large e-ink That's expensive and harder to find. These are a little bit more low cost, but we'll continue to do that as well. One cool thing is if you use CircuitPython, we have a e-ink library. So same thing will work on lots of different screens and lots of different skill sets. You'll be able to use that same code multiple times.
Yeah. I'll say one extra plug for doing this in CircuitPython is that a couple days ago, Lamore said, "Hey, try this, see if you can do it with graphics." And I'm not a computer science major. I'm not a excellent coder. I'm kind of a hack, but I kind of pried a bit of our slideshow code out of a Clue project I had done and dropped it into here. And it was, I don't know, 20 minutes or so, and I had BMPs popping up on this thing, which is just fantastic compared to how I would have gone about this a couple years ago, trying to deal with .h files in Arduino and stuff like that. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much, JP. We'll see you on our show tonight. We have a bunch of videos, and we'll see you tomorrow. And if you could maybe drop in the chat, some folks want to know where to get that plastic.
You bet.
Yes, I'm a link. All right, thank you, JP and JP Screen.
Yeah, let me get over here. Next up, we're going to go to Melissa. Hello, Melissa.
Hello. So one thing, I have been working some more on adding display I/O for Blinka, so that we could run like displays on the Raspberry Pi. So I have a little bonnet here. It's a display that's made specifically for the Raspberry Pi, and it is now able to run with display I/O. I've added a few features like some simple backlight control and some rotation to the display as well. And hopefully I'll be adding a bunch more features. And after I go through the color displays, which I've been doing, I'm going to go to the little monochrome displays and then e-inks.
Awesome.
All right.
Cover that all.
Thank you so much, Melissa.
All right. Thanks, Melissa.
All right. We're going to keep moving. We got a full house. And let's go to Scott. Hello, Scott. How are you doing this week?
Hello. I have too much to show. I was just thinking I'll probably whittle it down here a little bit.
Or not enough time.
Yeah.
Not enough time for sure.
Yeah. All right.
If you want to see more time, I stream on Fridays at 2 p.m. Pacific. Yeah.
You're going to show this cool site. I actually use this site. This is a cool thing. Everyone check this out. This is good.
Yeah. So like a lot of folks, I wanted to do something about Black Lives Matter, and voting, I think, is a general broader thing that I think we all should do. And I had this idea of providing dates and deadlines related to elections in an easy way that you can add to whatever it is. So this is just the start of it, but you can go to the site. It's electioncal, as in calendar.us. And you can click through here and select your county. Like I'm in King County. It's very ugly. So if somebody knows like CSS and HTML and wants to help out, that would be awesome. But here you can actually now get iCalendar files, CSV, and JSON as well of the data and the dates there. So we should be able to see a project here come shortly. I'm currently like working on the data side of things, making sure the data is good and adding more dates about like when registration has to happen, which is cool. So yeah, if folks want to get involved with that, reach out to me on Discord and I'll link you to the stuff. It's a long-term thing. It's not a short-term thing, although there are definitely primary elections in the next few weeks that I want to take a look at as well. So the other thing I wanted to show is I have this defund12.org, which is a call to action site for defunding the police. I actually saw it on the Adafruit blog. I just looked up and Stephanie had posted it. But they have form letters that you can send to mayors and city councils, depending on where you are. And this has a lot of the same properties of what I'm trying to do with election calendar of like, where are you in the US? How can I whittle you down to like specific information for where you are? And they're all doing it with GitHub as well. And so I've started like lurking on their Discord and their GitHub, and I've been helped out this morning a little bit with getting them set up with GitHub Actions and things like that. They're definitely taking off more than the election calendar stuff at this point, but I think they're open source and they're doing some really cool things. So I think there's opportunities to share technology across the two.
All right. What else you got? Those are your two projects this week?
I got more, but I'm sure you have other people
Tell you what, stick around and put those links in the chat for folks. And if we have time, we'll come back to you. But otherwise, we'll be back next week as well. And you're here every week. Thank you for doing the electricalc.us. So I think I was the end user for that. I'm just like, I just want to be able to click a thing and then add it to my calendar really easily. And so it was, I was like, I think your first beta tester. And I'm like, it worked. It was perfect.
Yep.
So now I know when the primaries are in New York.
Right. So I think it makes a lot of sense. From what I've seen, there are really good resources for voters, but what they're always doing is they're asking you for all of your information. I was looking at one last night, and it's like, put in your full legal name and then your nickname and like your address and all this stuff.
Email,
I'm like,
phone number.
We've all been trained.
Donate?
We've all been trained not to do that because our data has been hijacked for decades now. And so if anytime we have to put in information, we're like, I'm on to the next thing.
Right.
And and even government sites, you have to put in too much information. So this is really good because it's kind of on your own terms. It's like, oh, I'll just click through and then I get the thing I want.
Yeah, and the goal with the site is to be able to like easily share that information as well. Like that, where you have to put your information in, that's not easy to share. But like if I could email you a link to New York County and you see a little pop-up that is informational, and then you can subscribe to it later. Like that's awesome. Like I want to do RSS feeds, and I know you two love RSS feeds like I do.
I love
like that's another thing I want to do with this data. So I sent an email to a source that looks like they have really good election data because building on that would be great. But we'll see what they say because no clear license terms.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Scott. We'll see you on Friday. And then also don't forget, folks, as a JSON file format, you can do things with CircuitPython easily. You can display it on a PyPortal, stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. And we're going to be looking into that.
Thank you so much, Scott.
All right. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
That's great.
All right. Next up, we're going to go to Noam Pedro. Noam Pedro.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, guys. So last week we released a little simple 3D printed case for the new Raspberry Pi HQ camera module, and then accompanied that with a 60 millimeter CS mount to an EF adapter for these Canon camera lenses. We have a bunch of these, and don't want to get any other lenses. Just utilize ones we already have. So simple snap fit together case. Uses the little mount on here to hold up the camera. And then this week we have a nice little Pi tuner. So the camera's over here.
Yeah, so this was Liz Clark's idea, actually, Blitz City DIY. She's been using those web apps to tune guitar, and she thought, we could probably do one with the Pi Portal. So we got the touch buttons on here. I designed the little headstock here. It's just a bitmap. And on the back here, we have their little external speaker. It has a built-in buzzer, but we wanted it to sound a little bit louder. I wanted to make it so it's propped upright. Kind of has like this arcade cabinet style to it, and this nice bezel. So I'm going to tap on one of the buttons now. So it's going to play it back 3 times. They're just WAV files that are pre-recorded from just, I think it was Reason, and then recorded with Ableton Live. But you can remix this to do whatever type of soundboard you want. Essentially, it's a soundboard, and you can customize both the audio and the graphics. So another one here. So I was tuning Gavin's guitar because Grandpa got him one. It's like a little kind of kiddo guitar, and it was a lot of fun tuning it because it was way out of tune. Oh yeah, so it's been a lot of fun.
Awesome.
So check this out. What's that?
Very useful project.
Yeah, totally awesome. So we have a learn guide on them, so you guys can check it out.
Tonight we're going to show back-to-back videos, sped up videos. We're catching up, so there'll be a bunch of stuff on tonight's show.
Excellent. All righty, folks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Don Pedro. Okay, next up we're going to go to Jeff, and then we'll go to Dan. I'll try to give everyone a little bit of a heads up when I know you're going to be on deck. All right, Jeff.
Hi there. How's my audio level?
You sound great.
All right. Well, I've also got a little audio project. I decided I wanted to push the boundaries of what can we do with MP3 playback in CircuitPython, and the answer was Neotrellis M4. And, you can play some notes. Is that coming through?
Yeah. It's a piano.
So you can actually play 4 MP3 files at once. So it's got one MP3 file for each different note that you can play. So think of them like strings on a bass or a guitar. So each of these is one voice, and you can go each different voice and play them simultaneously. Now, I'm not a musician, so I can't get a chord out of this thing to save my life, but that's what we're doing.
That's funny.
Also, the lights are fading in and out according to the intensity of the sound. So yeah, just a little self-contained, self-contained project.
It's a great like demo for testing MP3, because it's like now you can just play as many as you want and see how it goes. Before,
Right.
at a time is a lot.
Yeah, so you have to go down to mono, you have to go down to 64 kilobits, but it sounds good. And so I think that really opens up some possibilities for creating a complex soundscape. So this is just kind of a little project. I'll put the code up on a GitHub gist after this. But yeah, that's the idea. That's what I've been up to.
Nice.
All right. Thank you so much, Jumpler. And we do, we've always done hug reports instead of bug reports.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jumpler. And then also everyone on the Adafruit team has, you build things you don't know how they're going to be used. So Phil B with NeoPixel, Jumpler with like how to get text on displays, and then how to play music and multiple music. We really are making the tools for other people to make really beautiful art, things that get a message out. So thanks for making the tools that make the things that allow people to express themselves in all sorts of ways. So thank you.
Yeah, it's really exciting. A lot of fun.
All right. Thank you, Jeff.
Next up is Dan. And then after Dan, we're going to go to Paint Your Dragon. Dan, how you doing?
Hello. So I'm going to tell you about, I've been working on a project to do, we have Bluetooth in CircuitPython, and it runs on boards like the Clue and the Circuit Playground Bluefruit. And there's a low-level library they've implemented called BLEIO that runs under CircuitPython. But it would be nice to be able to use the same CircuitPython code that we write on host computers. And we already do that with something called Blinka, where we can write, you can say from your Raspberry Pi, you can control I2C devices and other things using something called Blinka, which isn't CircuitPython itself. It's CircuitPython code that's running in regular Python on a Linux computer that has pins on it. But what if you could do the same thing with Bluetooth? And because we don't need pins, we can use any computers. We could use your regular old Linux desktop or your Windows desktop or your Mac OS laptop or whatever.
Your Raspberry Pi.
Or your Raspberry Pi, right? Whatever you've got. And if you don't have a lot of laptops have Bluetooth built in. If you don't have one, you can buy a tiny dongle that does Bluetooth from our store or from someplace else. So I've been re-implementing BLEIO in the same way that we did for Blinka. I have a Blinka version of BLEIO that I've implemented using a library called Bleak, which is a multi-platform BLE Bluetooth library. So I've just gotten it working, and you can control devices like here we've got this light bulb, we've got heart rate monitor, you got a barbecue thermometer. So I'll demonstrate with the light bulb, and all I'm going to do is start a script here. There we go. So it's checking to find this light bulb. Here we got a light bulb here, and now we just have a demo that's cycling the colors, and I have this very technical light here.
Yeah.
412.
And so this code is the same code that would run on one of these boards to control the light, but instead we're running it on my Linux computer. And we've got it working on Windows and Linux, and it should be working on Mac OS after some bugs are fixed in the underlying Bleak library.
Right,
So that's what you got. So you can do Bluetooth with CircuitPython code. And
wait, do you have to know how to use Blues?
No, you don't have to know how to use Blues. You don't have to know how to use .NET or the underlying Mac OS library. They're all the same. You can do what you know already.
It only took 15 years.
Right.
We made it. All right, so I'm pretty excited for this because this will be neat. We'll be able to, along with Blink and Display IO and all our sensors, we can communicate with BLE devices very easily, something that has been pretty much impossible. And believe me, I've looked at everything. It's so hard to communicate with BLE devices on anything but mobile. Like mobile, it's kind of designed for it, but desktop, it's just been so hard. And so this is really cool that we're going to have a cross-platform way of doing that. And all these example libraries already written.
That's right. You don't have to write any code. You can use our existing examples, right?
All right. Thank you so much, Dan, for giving everyone the gift of time. the best gift you can
And
get.
they have to keep their hair. Like pulling your hair out during BLE is a
Yeah.
common thing.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks
All right,
so
thank you,
much,
Dan.
All right.
We're now going to go to Painter Dragon. Hello, Philby. How are you?
Hi there. I am well. I must have been working on BLE at some point.
Yes, you probably have been. Well, you have little stuff like thermal printers and DMA and TFT displays, which is also.
Thermal printers.
Well, so actually, what happened is your head just got so hot from overthinking.
That must be it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think I have the silliest thing I have ever brought to show and tell here. And but I promise this does relate to the things we do. And I need to go all like James Burke connections here.
Okay.
This involves Stravinsky's Firebird Suite, which was composed in 1919, 101 years ago. And this is a vinyl record of it. There have been like dozens, if not hundreds of recordings of this released on vinyl. Most of them, we couldn't even, tell them apart. But this one, released by EMI 1965, it's not remarkable. It's actually pretty cheap record. Has kind of a unique distinction to it, and I've been hunting for it. Finally found one. Fast forward a few years, 1979, Fairlight, the CMI, was released, which was the first digital sampling musical instrument. Before that, you didn't have digital sampling. You had to use tape or film or record scratch. There was no digital sampling before that. And it kind of blows my mind because this was, during my life. Anyway, it could record 24 kilohertz audio at 8 bits. It could record 1 second and use that as an instrument sound.
That's pretty cool, though. I mean, like a sample.
I love artistic constraints. Like you've got a full second. It's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with that?
Right, 1 second. So an engineer at Fairlight, Peter Vogel, he had this record on hand. Now, not this actual piece of vinyl, but one just like it. The same pressing, the same release. He had this record on hand and recorded one second, which you've heard before.
Yeah.
The orchestra hit.
Yeah.
This was first used in an album in 1982, Planet Rock by Africa Bambaataa. Subsequently used in over 150 popular released songs. Duran Duran, Michael Jackson, Beastie Boys, MC Hammer.
Yeah.
It goes on and on. From there, those songs got resampled, or other versions of the orchestra hit were recorded or eventually synthesized. And fast forward further, 1991, the orchestra hit became part of the general MIDI standard. So, I mean, you have piano, you have cello, you have clarinet, and you have the orchestra hit. I don't know what the moral of this story is, but I am always tickled when something that's all around us, I mean, it's like the air we breathe, when it all, like an hourglass, it just comes down to one point in time. And
one engineer just makes like a throwaway decision, like, oh, this image from a magazine I'm going to use as a graphic standard. And it's like, we're stuck with that for decades.
There doesn't have to be a moral of the story other than there was a popular show called Connections.
Yeah.
And you can, trace back, okay, the first time we made candles, now here we go. We've landed on the moon. And I think this is a similar thing. Like, think about all the people that have used this sample or inspired by, or the technology that you had to use just to get to this.
Exactly. So I've actually been hunting for this album for a long time. I can't afford a Fairlight CMI. I can't imagine what they go for nowadays. But having something that kind of ties into that chain of connections just made me happy. Finally found one on eBay.
I have a question for the Fairlight CMI. Did it come with that sample, or like how did that get distributed?
Yeah, it came on an 8-inch floppy. They would.
Oh, I see. You loaded it in, and then you could change the instrument. You record it as a track.
Right. Periodically, they would send out discs, and customers would mail discs to them. It became a whole sharing thing.
Okay, got it. I got it. Okay, that was a piece I didn't quite get. All right,
right
that's
on.
a good story.
So, anyway, that's what I got. I yield my time.
That is awesome, and keep coming back with these connection style stories. I have a whole pile of things that have like, this little thing, and then 50 years later, look what happened. I want to try to add those to show and tell as soon as. Maybe we're in one spot on a regular basis again. So thank you so much, Colby. All right. Next up, we're going to go to Brian. I think Brian.
Brian, you ready?
You're back now. So
I am ready. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. So, like many people, I now have a phone that doesn't have a headphone jack, and I also have an old car that only has an aux jack. It doesn't have any other way of getting audio into the audio system, so I can't play my jams at full volume. So what I did is I'm going to switch to my document camera right quick. Boop. So I got one of these. It's a little Bluetooth receiver off of Amazon. It's got a thing to charge the battery. It's got a headphone jack, and it's got Bluetooth audio module here. So I got it, tried to plug it into just like the normal aux jack, get it working. You probably can't see, but somewhere on here there's a little spot where all the magic smoke blew out the side of the chip because I think I used a bad 12-volt adapter or something. So fast forward a little bit, I picked up this. This is basically the same thing, but it uses a fancier Bluetooth chip that supports aptX, which is some proprietary codec that's supposed to be higher quality or whatever. So I got this working as it comes out of the box, but it is powered off of 5-volt DC. Most cars have 12-volt DC, so I got a buck converter, wired it up, tuned it down to 5 volts, wrapped it in heat shrink and all kinds of fun stuff, and then wired it into the DC. Then on the other end of the boost converter, I wired up these two plugs to plug into. Oh, there we go. It's in my car because it's part of the car, but the other half of this. So this is the ashtray that has the. Probably can't see very well. It's got the 12-volt jack in there. So basically, I plugged it into the female side of that. Side note, it's got these pieces here where the traction control button is. It's got a whole bunch of blank buttons that I think I'm going to turn into something to like or something like that. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, it works. It's fun, and I can actually play some nice loud tunes in my car, which is pretty fun. I mean, if they're not loud, why can bother, right? And I'm going to put it in this. This is a junction box, a plastic junction box that I am going to chop up to make everything fit. One last thing along similar lines. I may have shown this off before. I've got another junction box.
Stuff.
You got a bunch of stuff. So I think last time I showed that this clue fits perfectly in there.
Yeah,
so
you designed it that way.
I know. So along with the clue, I got one of these stemma relays. I can find a use for it still, but I realized it's too low current for what I had in mind. So I got a power relay on the way. But I needed to be able to, again, power this little thing off of some different voltage. So I took a old phone charger thing, chopped it up with my new saw, and took it all apart. And I think I should be able to wire this into the AC to get 5 volts DC off of it that the regulator can drop down to something better. So yeah, that's what I'm up to. So
Brian's Desk O Fun.
Indeed.
Okay, thank you. All right, next up.
Much. We're going to go to Aaron, then Orlando, and then Liz, and then Geek Mom. And I think we have exactly enough time for everybody. So let's keep moving. Aaron, take it away.
Hello. Hi. So I am still working on crystals. I've been showing crystals the last couple times I've been on here, but today I am showing off a crystal strand. It's using a Circuit Playground Bluetooth and it has like 20 different crystals on it. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. I love it. So these are paper crafted crystals. They look like this without a light in them. They come off my vinyl cutter all flat like this, and they just get folded up into a shape just like so. And then I've got little holes in the top, which clip directly onto these little NeoPixel light strand dots. And you can, I made a whole bunch of different sizes and a couple different shapes, so it's real fun to like add different variety to the strand.
That's great.
Working on a project where I'm going to launch it probably tonight or tomorrow, hopefully, tutorial on how I made these things, where I can put the downloadable files and instructions on how to put them all together. And then as for the code, I've got 4 different color modes on here. So this is just a rainbow animation. And then I've got one button that kind of changes the speed, one button that changes the mode, and we have 4 different color modes on here. So it's pretty plug and play, like it's ready to go and be decor, but also super customizable. So
they're so creative and crafty, but they also, like, you know, you're really exploring what you can do with NeoPixels for beginners, which is, you know, like you fill in that section of like Paint the Owl, where it's like you have one LED light up and then it's like gigantic light show. You're really good at getting that intermediary space.
Yeah. That's what I want to do. Like I have so many girlfriends that are like, oh, I want to try electronics, and then they just don't. And I'm like, what do I need to do for you? You know, so I'm kind of working through trying to find, like, there's got to be more of a link between crafters and knitters and people that love Joann fabrics. And because this is just a tiny little step. So I'm just trying to figure out how to fill in that gap, like you said.
Yeah. What we found is in the cosplay community, there was so many people who wanted to make things that lit up, and like eventually Adafruit and cosplay projects came together. There was the characters in lots of movies had lots of different things, and that was the leap. And I think in the crafting world, and there's always something now that lights up, and that's like, I want that, I want to build that, I want to make that. How do I do that? And that's the motivation. In the past, when we first got people going with electronics, we knew if we said, well, here's what a transistor or resistor is, that's not as interesting as here's your favorite costumed hero, and here's how to make that light up thing that they have. And so I think you always have to find those things. These crystals are absolutely beautiful. So fantastic work, Aaron.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, they are also just saving me. I'm stuck indoors with quarantine and going a little crazy because I can't go out and see my friends and stuff. But just I actually mailed a whole bunch to my friends, and then we had a Zoom meeting where we all like folded crystals together. So it's been like a real community builder.
2020 hobbies, folding crystals over Zoom.
It's just, it's delightful.
All right. Thank you so much, Aaron.
Thanks.
Okay, next up, we're going to go to Orlando. Then after that, Liz, and then Geek Among Projects. And if there's anybody else, we'll try to get to that.
Hey, Orlando.
Hey, Orlando, how's it going?
Hello there. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Solid. So I came by a couple weeks ago and talked about the Bluetooth audio adapter project I worked on.
That's right.
So I got the boards back from SparkFun, and I finally got to try the After Dark solder mask. That's
cool. That's nice.
They're really neat. So I like them a lot. It almost has that sort of copper clad feel, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I soldered it up. It's a fairly simple board to solder up. The audio modules, the RN52, for anyone who wants to know. Then there's like a 3.3 voltage regulator, headphone jack, that type of thing. And so I plugged it up, and the audio is actually awful. I started thinking to myself, I was like, oh, actually you have to like be pretty careful with the traces and all that when you start doing audio projects, because you might have
if you got like radio, especially, it's like radiating into it.
Exactly. It's like ground loops and all those types of things. I heard a lot of buzzing. So I remember doing some audio projects a little bit before, and I've learned that those have to do with ground loops and things like that. And so I'll show my PCB design really quickly.
Well, it's not that different than ECG or EMG or EEG designs. It's just the frequency's lower.
Right. And so I have a ground plane on both sides of the board, which I think might not be optimal for audio projects, because you create a lot of ground loops maybe potentially that way. I'm not entirely sure. So it's something I'm still sort of figuring out. If anyone in the chat has some thoughts, please feel free to send them my way. But there's a lot of buzzing, a lot of humming. So, there's some issue there. So I really need to look into that to make it to do it a little bit better. I sort of compared my design to SparkFun's little breakout board, and they're just sort of breaking out the pins, so it's nothing really fancy. So I'm trying to figure out what electrically sort of different.
For the audio that's coming out, audio is often AC coupled. You might have to DC couple it before you feed it into the input. You see how the pins go straight from the headphone jack right into those pins. You might need a resistor divider. I mean, I would check the app note from RN42, whatever it is, and see if they have like some resistor divider, or like, because you can't have AC. I don't think you can have AC input going directly in. That could be it.
Could be. This is sort of the same setup I have for SparkFun's board. Okay,
so it's like the same pin out. Yeah.
Right. So I'll take another look. This is me just kind of fishing here a little bit myself.
What you're saying, isolate it.
Say again?
They're saying isolate it in the comments.
So anyway, it's kind of a cool first step. It connects fine and everything, but the audio quality isn't great. So if anyone has any idea in the chat has some ideas, please feel free to send them my way. It's a cute.
Well, now you have to come back because you're going to solve it, and you're going to be like, "Here's how I solve it." So we need
I'm curious.
the exciting conclusion to this.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much. You got anything else, Orlando?
Nothing at the moment. No.
Okay. Good to see you, and see you soon when you solve that. Come on back.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to Liz, and then we'll go to Geek Mom Projects. All right, Liz.
Hey.
Hello, Liz.
Hey, Liz. How are you?
All right. What you got going on?
So as Noah and Pedro talked about, I did the guitar tuner project this week. Big shout out to Noah on the bitmap because that really made the project. Like it's just
I love when you can see the thing. I like it's like that's what I'm doing. It's exactly the label is on what's in the inside.
yeah. So that's been fun. And then I also remixed the fan that Noah and Pedro made up so that it would fit a little Noctua fan. These fans are like 10 millimeters smaller than the one that they used, and it also, I don't have the adapter with me, but it has a cable that goes directly to USB. So I just have to get a screw on there and some googly eyes, of course, and then we'll be in business. And then the other thing I've been working on, Lady Ada asked me to try to do a jumping game like the Google Chrome when it's down, when the dinosaur jumps over the cactus. So I've been working on this, and this is all on the Pi badge using Display.io. So I start it. Goes, and when you jump over them, you get a 10-point bonus. And the score is going down at the bottom. And I'll try to have Blinka go down to the end here. And then it says game over, and then you can start again.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Blink and jump.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks for making this, and then also we'll have video in Ask an Engineer for this project. And I said this in the chat, but I also want to say thank you for dedicating some of the space you have, your channel, for some important things. You had a video that we just had our company meeting. We have a call to action. Breonna Taylor is something our team said this is important. There needs to be justice for Breonna. Definitely. And we had all the same information and sign up. So thanks for doing that in your channel as well. We all have spaces that we can utilize. It's not just electronics. It's all part of something bigger. And thanks for being part of a good cause and this big community.
If we can teach people Arduino, we can treat people how to perform actions that help social justice.
Exactly. Yeah. And tech is not neutral, so we all have to do our part to raise awareness and make the world a better place.
All right, the daily action.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you, Liz.
All right, and we're gonna wrap up with Geek Mom Projects. Hello, Geek Mom Projects. How are you?
Hi. I'm hunching to stay in frame because I wanted to focus on.
Yeah, that's great.
Hopefully, you can see it. It's not too saturated.
Yeah, that's great.
Great. So any surprise, it's LED based. And everybody who loves LEDs as much as I do is pretty fascinated by those nanoleaf tiles that you can put on your walls.
Yeah.
They're modular and rearrange them. And they're fun and they're neat and they're expensive. And I've seen a lot of kind of homebrewed versions, which are really cool. But they're always kind of like LED strips wrapped around a base with like a diffusion layer on top. But I thought it would be kind of fun to make a PCB-based version. So these are a system of modular triangle-shaped LEDs that are mounted on PCBs. They're the 4020 SK6812 LEDs. You can kind of see, here's a prototype. I used up all the current ones in this sculpture, but you can see it's just a board with those little tiny LEDs mounted to the corners. So, and the connectors on the back, so if you turn it sideways, right now it's running
The LEDs are pointing in.
The LEDs are pointing in. Oh yeah, and they diffuse. Hang on, there, the camera's here. They diffuse directly into a layer. This is laser cut plastic. It's translucent. It's semi-translucent. So it actually does a pretty good job of mixing and blending the light. I've been experimenting with a lot of different kinds of acrylic, and this is the one I found that works the best.
Nice.
Thanks. Yeah. So there's a layer of So it's the PCB, a layer of diffusion acrylic on the front. The LEDs emit sideways directly into the acrylic. And on the back, I've got pressure contacts. So I'll turn this, hopefully, without disconnecting it so you can see it's nice and thin. It's freestanding. And all the PCBs are connected on the back with a system of pressure contacts, some of which are mounted on the triangle boards. The input contact is mounted directly on the board itself, and the output uses this little separate connector to actually hold the boards, to pass the signal, power, and voltage, and also hold the boards together with screws. So you can rearrange it. It's modular by unscrewing it and just reconnecting a different configuration.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks. I posted everything on GitHub, design files, everything. If anybody wants, it's GeekMon project, triangle something board on my GitHub. So.
Right on.
This is cool. What a great build.
If you can remember, pop in the chat and put the URL for folks to.
Okay, we'll do.
Well, all right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
I think, well, there's David's here at the bottom, but his camera's off, so I don't know if David's here. I will see. I don't see a camera, so I think that's it. Okay.
All right, Dan. It's only Dan left over with his lamp.
Yeah,
Which is still
Dan's still
glowing.
there with his lamp. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for making this the best hour of our week. We're so happy to be back this week, and we'll see everybody next week. We do show and tell every single Wednesday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern time, and then Ask an Engineer is at 8 p.m. Thank you so much, everyone, for showing the best possible versions of ourselves and what we can do when we build things and share things. We'll see everybody on Ask an Engineer in just a few minutes.
See you, everybody.
See you next week.
8 p.m. here.
Bye-bye.
Come back. Get some tea.